Hello and welcome to Termas de Río Hondo, where we are about to show the first race of the fifth round of Porsche Cup C6 Mastercard Bank. In the Bank Mastercard, that's where we're going to have our first race of the fifth round. Will be the 9th race of the season. Tomorrow we'll have the 10th race of the season, a season that has 6 rounds of the Sprint Championship for Porsche Cup. For the pole position for the race today of Carrera Cup, we'll have Lucas Salles. Lucas Salles will start ahead of Nicolas Costa, who was penalized for going off track limits. And then on Sprint Challenge, we'll have in the pole position Antonella Bassani, who was able to stay just 5/1000ths of a second ahead of number 88, Eduardo Taurissano. A great battle in the second race. Eduardo Taurissano will start first in the race tomorrow with Antonella Bassani in second. The same happening for the Carrera Cup, where today we'll have Lucas Salles as a pole position and Nicolas Costa in second place. Tomorrow, Nicolas Costa will start on the pole with Lucas Salles on second. You're going to be watching this first race of the fifth round of the Porsche Cup C6 Bank Mastercard with me, Sergio Lago, and with Carlos Costa. Hello, Carlos.
Hi, Sergio. Very big pleasure to be here with you to broadcast one more round of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. Good expectation for today's races. We have first the Carrera Cup race, then the Sprint Challenge Championship race. Interesting grids, as you said. We have Lucas Salles of the sport class starting ahead of season leader Nicolas Costa of the main Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. So we have a mix of grid that is interesting, drivers out of place, if we can say so, because theoretically we could expect Salles to be behind not just Costa, but also Marcel Miller, Asio Feldman, the guys that are fighting for the main title. But anyway, in the Sprint Challenge Championship, we have an interesting grid as well with Antonella Bassani just a bit ahead of Eduardo Taurissano, as you said. So 5/1000ths of a second just shows how tight it was in the qualifying session. We had earlier today as well the quali session that defined the grid for race 2, in which Eduardo Taurissano starts ahead. But anyway, first things first, we have these races today. And obviously, they are already very important in terms of championship standings, because this is the penultimate round of the Sprint Championship of Porsche Cup Brasil in the 2023 season. Then we have the season finale at Interlagos. And of course, when we reach the final, we have the 2 worst results discarded. So it doesn't make sense now to think about the results that will be discarded, because maybe we have a double retirement for a driver or something like that. But anyway, the expectation for the race is quite good. In such a special circuit, we have to remember that Termas de Río Hondo, for example, is the venue of the Argentinian GP of MotoGP. So we are talking about one of the most important tracks of Latin America, and a very technical one, quite wide as well. So it allows a lot of fighting for positions. And we have a very good grid, a lot of accomplished drivers. Nicolas Costa leading the pack, Lucas Salles in a very good season in the sport class. In the rookie division, we also have an interesting situation in the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. The situation is also good in the Sprint Challenge Championship. We have first the Carrera Cup race, as I said. But anyway, a lot of drivers to watch. Miguel Paludo, 7-time champion of the series, also the guy with most race wins. Werner Neubauer, that isn't in such a good grid position, but is the guy with most race wins in this track for Porsche Brazil. So good expectation. The cars are hitting the track, warm-up lap, then we have the formation of the grid. Anyway, we can expect good things, a lot of overtaking and action to entertain ourselves with motorsport in one of the most interesting series of South America.
Yes, Carlos, and I have great expectations, or I want to know what's going to happen with Nicolas Costa, because if he finishes ahead of Marcel Miller, it will be one in both races today and tomorrow. But let's think about today, that Nicolas is starting in second with Marcel Miller in fourth. it will be a great opportunity for Nicolas Costa to increase his advantage over second place Marcel Miller. And the same goes for Miguel Paludo, who stands just 1 point behind Marcel Miller. But Marcel Miller is starting 4th, and Miguel Paludo is starting 7th. So today is not a good position for Miguel Paludo. Let's see what he'll be able to see to advance there, at least to get close to Marcel Miller in the battle for the second place in the championship. But I see more and more, Carlos, this championship going into the hands of Nicolas Costa, because if he opens a large enough gap here in Termas de Río Hondo for Marcel Miller, he might get to Interlagos in the final race of the season in the first weekend of November as the virtual champion, with huge chances, let's say, unless there is a catastrophic situation for him.
Yeah, I completely agree. The situation is quite favorable for Nicolas Costa. Just to mention the points, he has 167. Marcel Miller, the second, 154. And as you said, Sergio Miguel Paludo just 1 point behind, but only 7th in the grid for today's race. So quite a tricky situation for Paludo, a very experienced driver in the series, as I said. But anyway, the grid isn't that favorable for him. Marcel Miller also has to do a recovery race, and they both have to think about what happens with Nicolas Costa and see if there's any problem for the season leader. They have to think about that, because Nicolas is already ahead, and it is the case also in tomorrow's grid, given the fact that Costa got pole position for race 2. So they have to perform, they have to climb in this pack. Of course, P4 and P7 are not ideal positions for them. But if Nicolas wins, there's nothing they can do. And the situation tomorrow is even more complicated, even though for Paludo, it's not that difficult. He's starting 3rd this Sunday when Costa starts on pole. Marcel Miller is 5th on the grid for tomorrow, but the situation of the championship standings in the main Porsche Carrera Cup fight is favorable for Costa, as you said. And it's interesting because it is his first full-time season. Actually, his very first season, independently of it is full-time or not, in the sprint championship of Porsche Brazil. So he's already showing his credentials, fighting very accomplished drivers such as Paludo and Miller, as we saw there, Antonella Bassani celebrating her pole, but she is racing in the other championship. But anyway, Costa knows this track very well. He was racing in the Endurance Championship only last year, so even though he didn't know tracks such as Velocitar as well as this Miguel Paludo or Marcel Miller, this Termas de Río Hondo track had an endurance race last year, so that's not a factor, I believe, in this fight for the championship. But anyway, let's wait and see, because if there is any problem for Nicolas Costa, then the chance is open for both Miller and Paludo.
Yeah, it's just an exercise, Carlos, as we still have 4 races left till the end of the season. But if you discard the results, each of them, Nicolas Costa, Marcel Miller, and Miguel Paludo, they had one race that they didn't score any points. So in that sense, they are even in the second race. The best race, the worst race, let's say, for Nicolas Costa, he scored 20 points. So he would go to 147. Marcel Miller, his worst race, he scored 11 points, besides the one he got 0, of course. 11 points. So it will go to 143. So the difference actually diminished to just 4 points. Miguel Paludo goes to 147. So actually, he would have to discard 16 points. So in fact, his actual difference discarding results, of course, this in theory to Marcel Miller, is not 1 point, but 6 points. So this is how it stands at this moment for the races. Of course, they can get a worse result from now until the end of the season, and that would be the result discarded. But up to now, when we've seen Carlos looking at the results of Nicolas Costa, he's been very consistent arriving at the top or top three or winning the race. He's been very, very, very consistent, and it's really impressive what we are seeing regarding his performance this year.
Yeah, that's an important factor because even though he has a lot of race wins to his name in 2023, when he doesn't win, he gets good points. And of course, consistency is key to winning championships. The situation with the discarded results that you mentioned is very important. So, yes, the situation is very good for Nicolas, and Miguel Paludo especially would need a very poor round this weekend for both Costa and Miller as well, but especially Costa given the gap. And then, of course, we have the season finale at Interlagos then with the discarded results applied, let's put it that way. But anyway, in motorsport, anything can happen, but we see that Miguel Paludo, for example, in this championship hasn't been that consistent, and that's why he's a bit behind. Even though he's a very accomplished driver, aggressive when he needs to do so, he knows how to defend position. He had some poor results in the beginning of the season, especially also because of bad luck incidents and so on. But Costa has been very intelligent in order to prevent himself from major problems such as retirements, even though I believe it was Velocita, he had a difficult race as well. But anyway, he has to be very wary of touches in this first race, especially. And considering in Costa's case that he isn't starting from pole, even though he's in the first row. So he has to be aggressive also in order to defend himself from any pressure from Marcel Miller, especially Miller starting fourth, so not that far. But he cannot make any mistake when he tries to attack Lucas Salles. Salles, as I said, driver of the sport class of the Porsche Carrera Cup, theoretically a less skilled driver, but all of these guys, they are very competitive, and I believe Salles will try to win in the general division, if we can say so. But anyway, Costa has to be intelligent, and the same is valid for both Miller and Paludo, Sergio.
Yes, exactly. So it's a good battle that we see. Of course, Paludo and Marcel Miller are a little bit behind, but a race is a race, and we know that everything can happen. As we see Nicolas Costa with his very interesting car there, very nice paint scheme for Nicolas Costa, as the Porsches are still aligning in their positions of the grid, so they can do the warming up laps, and we still don't even have the 5 minutes signal there for the drivers. So soon we should have that, and then we will have the race. After this race, we will have the sprint challenge race as well, that has exactly Antonella Bassani in the pole position. So it will be very interesting. In the last race, in the only race so far that she started pole, Carlos, that she got it because it was the inversion of the grid, she was overtaken by Eduardo Taurissano. So she really wasn't able to keep the leadership, but she scored important points. So let's see if this time, if she is able to hold, even let's assume she starts ahead. Let's hope. Let's hope. I mean, we are not here trying to cheer for anyone, but as she's the only female competing, we always have a little, more interest in her, and it would be nice. Let's see if she can keep Eduardo Taurissano behind her, which would be very important move for Antonella Bassani.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you just mentioned, Sergio, not just because she's a female driver, but also a very young one, only 16 years old, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, member of the Young Racing Academy, so a talent that is rising through the ranks in this Porsche Cup Brazil classes, already competing in the main Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship, and with good title chances, now a great position, sorry, especially compared to Marcelo Tomazzoni, the season leader that starts fifth, if I'm not wrong. I'll double check here. But anyway, the fact is that she's ahead of the pack and she can put pressure on Tomazoni that actually starts sixth, not fifth. So considering that Christian Moore, the second in the championship standings, is in the middle of the pack, only P12 for him, she has a good chance to put pressure. And just to mention the championship situation in the main sprint challenge competition, we have Tomazoni with 180 points, Moore with 164, and Antonella Bassani with 156. We have to remember that this race awards 28 points for the race winner. So it's an interesting prospect for Antonella as we now see the championship standings of Carrera Cup.
Exactly. And as we said, there you see the difference is reasonably high between Nicolas Costa and Marcel Miller, but it gets tighter between them when they discard the points. The opposite happens with Miguel Paludo. He's very close to Marcel Miller, but he gets a little bit further behind when he discards his points, because in his worst race, he scored 16 points, and Marcel Miller 11 points, of course, considering both have a race that they didn't score any points, the same as Nicolas Costa. We see number 80 there, the car. So, I have the wrong thing here. Number 8 is Roman Zinkiewicz. 33 is Bruno Campos. I had here with me, Carlos, the list of drivers for the sprint challenge. So I said, what is the 80? Because both have 88, but just 8. But anyway, Roman Zinkiewicz, that's already a veteran in the category. He's been racing for the last few years. And there you have Lucas Salles there in the green uniform. That's the Porsche you're seeing on the left side of the screen, left side of the safety car. That's the Porsche for Lucas Salles. This is from Werner Neugebauer. He has the same livery as as Giafone, but not Afonso Giafone, Franco Giafone. He has, but Franco Giafone is starting way behind. He's starting in the 13th position. There he is. Behind this guy there is Alceu Feldman. He's from the south of Brazil. And there is Franco Giafone. There was Franco Giafone.
Yes, Feldman, then Raja Mascarello in the darker green car, and the light green car, Franco Giafone. You said Afonso Giafone. There is one Afonso Giafone, but that's Franco. They are, of course, relatives, a very important family in Brazilian motorsport. Giafone actually is the reigning sport class champion in Porsche Carrera Cup, but this season hasn't been that good for him. The situation for Franco isn't that favorable in terms of fighting for a title or anything like that. He has 54 points to his name, currently only 7th in the standings, when we have Lucas Salles in a very, very good year with 96 points, leading and starting in this overall pole position of race 1 of Porsche Carrera Cup at Termas de Río Hondo. And Georgios Frangoulis also had a poor qualifying session. Frangoulis that is second in the standings with 77 points. So we have interesting fights throughout the whole pack. And just to talk about the rookie class championship situation, we have Edu Guedes leading 105 points, but pole sitter is Bruno Campos, that is 4th in the standings, even though there's a big gap between them. Campos has 60 points, so 45 behind the leader so far. It will be interesting to see if Gustavo Farah, that is 2nd in the standings, will be able to catch up with Edu Guedes. Farah is 21 points behind, and João Barbosa, that is the 3rd, has 80 points. So we have a lot of interesting situations throughout the classes in terms of standings, and as we said, penultimate round, so very important for all of these drivers to have good results, and if not to open a good gap, then put pressure on their rivals.
There you see Francisco Horta waiting for the start of the race. Of course, it's always a tense moment, this wait for the beginning of the race. We still don't have the sign of 5 minutes. We're expecting it soon. But anyway, they are all there preparing and getting ready for the race. Now we have this image here. But Carlos, the expectation is for a good race, I believe. You know, this Termas de Rio Hondo had nice races last year, and I hope they will have good races this year. With even if we don't have a battle for first position, we have for other positions. Let's listen. We have now live images from Termas de Rio Hondo. Always set for the first race of the 5th round. We see there the circuit, 4,805 meters, almost 5 kilometers of the circuit. Temperature is 24 degrees Celsius, the track 33 Celsius, wind at 15 kilometers per hour with the humidity of the air at 65%. These are the data from the race that we are about to follow. You see there the cars already lined up for the start of the race, drivers doing their last preparations. We saw there Jorge Frangulis, and we are really getting ready for this very important 9th race of the season. Tomorrow we'll have the 10th race of the season, and then the last two will be Interlagos in the first weekend of November. There you see an aerial view of Termas de Rio Hondo, a very, very interesting circuit, I would say. As you mentioned, Carlos, is used for MotoGP in Argentina, so that's one of the reasons it's a very, nice circuit, located in a very nice location as well.
Yeah, that's it. Termas de Rio Hondo circuit in the Santiago del Estero province, right in the middle of Argentina, the central region of our neighbor country. It's a nice region for tourism as well. Has been getting more and more interesting, especially in the Brazilians' view in the recent couple of years. And of course, we are talking about the venue of the Argentinian GP of MotoGP, as you said, and also a very modern track, not only for good reasons, though. It had a fire recently, I believe, in 2020. I'm double checking here. 2021, right in the beginning of 2021. Of course, it was a sad chapter of Termas history, but anyway, they had insurance, and the whole part of the circuit that got damaged was rebuilt. So it is very modern indeed. And thinking about car racing, not motorcycling, it's an interesting track because it is very wide, so it allows a lot of vertical maneuvers, so the drivers have room for fighting against each other side by side. Sometimes we have 3 cars side by side, which allows, of course, a lot of battles throughout the whole grid, and we are talking about an action-packed series, so we tend to see a lot of things happening in this race, also tomorrow in race 2 of Sunday. But ahead of the turn 1, we can expect good things, and it will be interesting to see if Costa will attack Lucas Salles, that is the pole sitter, right after the race start. We have a rolling start, of course, but there is room for attack, and Salles has to be wary. We're talking about the overall pole position, but he's a driver from the sport class, so the intermediate division, if we can say so, of Porsche Carrera Cup. Theoretically, a less skilled driver, even though he has been showing throughout this whole championship that he's very fast, and from time to time is fighting ahead with the guys from the main championship. As we see the safety car now, we saw also the 3-minute sign there, and the preparations are ongoing, and we tend to have green flag very shortly. Good expectation for the race, especially considering the title protagonist, not just Costa, but as we have explained in the beginning of the broadcast, Miguel Paludo, sorry, that is starting 7th, and this yellow car to the right, Marcel Miller, the 2nd in the standings. And apart from that, we have the sport class, but Salles seems to be the favorite, and the rookie class with Edu Guedes, needing to have a recovery race, because he's behind Bruno Campos Garfinkel, that is the pole sitter in the class, as we see the onboard camera of Franco Giafone.
The cars are about to start rolling. It's interesting, Carlos. They have the time to the beginning of the race. I was talking about the 5 minutes signal, but it's right there. It's about the 3rd or 4th row, so not all drivers can see. Anyway, Lucas Salles, pole position, Nicolas Costa starting alongside him. Then we have Lineu Pires and Marcel Miller. Behind them we have Werner Neugebauer and Rodrigo Melo in the 3rd row. 4th row, Miguel Paludo and Nelson Marcondes. Alceu Feldman and Nelson Monteiro in the 5th row. And there you can see all the other drivers, Raijan Mascarella alongside Francisco Horta, Franco Giafone and Frangulis, Campos and Carlos Campos. They are both the rookie class. And then João Barbosa and Edu Menossi. Edu Menossi didn't have a good qualifying run. Gustavo Farah and Paulo Souza. Edu Guedes is starting there in the 21st position, not a very good one. And Roman Zinkiewicz also didn't have a good effort. And Peter Vetter, we saw he had an accident during the qualifying session. So Peter Vetter, he wasn't able to score any time. So he will start dead last in this race with 25 drivers competing for the victory.
Yeah, interesting informations there about the city, founded in 1954, as you can see, and 265 meters above the level of the sea, so that's a factor as well. And it is the main thermal center of the country. It is located quite close to a fountain, and it is one of the reasons why we have in the recent couple of years, Sergio, a very important rise in the tourism in this region, especially from Brazilians. So we like to visit Argentina. It is a very nice country, and Termas is also one of the destinations that Brazilians and guys from abroad can go to, as we see the Visit Argentina sign there in quite close to the curb. So let's see if the sign survives these races.
We are on board with Alceu Feldman. That was the driver with the green overall that we saw also the image of him inside his car. So far, the cars are not aligned up for the start. This will be the first race of the weekend. The second race of the weekend we will have after that. Then the second of Carrera Cup to be tomorrow, as well the second of Sprint Challenge. The cars are already aligned now. We see Lucas Salles on the left side of our screen and Nicolas Costa on the right side. Behind him, behind Lucas Salles, we have Lineu Pires, who is also from the sport class, that green Porsche, and Marcel Miller with the 544, who is runner-up so far in the championship. So let's go to the beginning of the race. The red lights are on. When they turn off, we start the race, waiting for the signal. Green, 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 and there goes Lucas Salles trying to protect his position from Lineu Pires. Going on the outside, Nicolas Costa trying for the first position against Lucas Salles. Very aggressive Nicolas Costa, and he might be getting the first position. Look at that, Carlos, and Nicolas Costa is first. He had a great start, got ahead of Lucas Salles. Lucas Salles is second now, and someone spins there. Someone spins there. We have to check who was it.
Marcel Miller, I think.
Marcel Miller. Wow.
Let's double check, but I think so.
Yeah, and we
Yes.
see already Miguel Paludo on the third position.
Lineu
That's
Pires.
Lineu Pires who started fourth, and he was alongside really battling with Marcel Miller.
There's another car involved. I think it is Marcel Miller. We have to wait and see the replay because we have Costa now leading. Intelligent maneuver by Nicolas, by the way. Salles second. And I believe that the green car there is Werner Neubauer behind Miguel Paludo. So
Yeah, it's
I think
Werner
it was
Neubauer.
Marcel
It's
Miller.
Werner
Let's see.
Neubauer. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
number 8. It's number
Num-
8, Werner Neubauer.
Then also Feldman, I think.
Yeah, you see, great start by Nicolas Costa.
Safety
Safety
car.
car.
Yeah.
We have great start by Nicolas Costa, I would say, Carlos, because, there are problems for the Giorgio Frangulis, and that's one we showed already, Lineu Pires. But anyway, Nicolas Costa was perfect there. He believed on the outside. He believed he had the skills to do a better turn on the outside, and he got the first position from Lucas Salles.
Yeah, and the yellow car that is there in the top 6 is Francisco Horta. So, yes, I think Marcel Miller was caught in that incident. Let's see the replay of the start. An aggressive start from Lineu Pires in this light green car, but Costa was able to defend his position, running second. And then in the other turn, the second leg there, he was able to overtake there. We see, and now we will have the incident. Let's watch the replay.
Marcel Miller is right behind the green car there. Number 544. There you see him behind the green car, but we don't have the accident, actually, at least until now. Now we have an on board with Franco Giaffoni. He was the one who spun right at the first turn there.
There we see.
Oh, there you see Marcel Miller and Lineu Pires, the contact between the two cars. I think Marcel Miller stayed on the track, Carlos, but he shows 22nd. He's not last. There he is in 22nd. He's not last because all the other cars had the problems. Marcel Miller, Franco Giaffoni, and Giorgio Frangulis.
So, I think 3 separate incidents, Sergio. The first one with Franco Giaffoni. There is an incident that we didn't see with Giorgio Frangulis. Maybe it is the same incident that had Giaffoni involved, and then one incident between Marcel Miller and Lineu Pires. I think that Marcel Miller's, I think he touched the back of the car of Lineu. That's why Lineu spun. Let's see if there's any investigation by the stewards. But anyway, Marcel Miller didn't retire the car or anything like that, but he lost a lot of ground. Penultimate, I think, in the pack in this moment, because the other cars, I believe they will retire. So that's a major blow when we think about the championship standings and Miller's titles pretensions.
Yes, we are going to have the restart of the race. It was not a long safety car, apparently. Let's see, no, he's still there. I thought he was going to give space for the driver, so we might have another lap. Let's double check. Anyways, Nicolas Costa leads the race. He's doing what he has to do to keep maintaining the championship. And yes, we have green flag again. We have green flag again. Nicolas Costa does a big jump ahead of Lucas Salles, and Lucas Salles now is receiving pressure from Miguel Paludo in the battle for the second position. Miguel Paludo tries to put his car on the side of Lucas Salles. He was not able to, and he has to take care with Werner Neubauer, who is the driver who has most wins in this circuit with Porsche Cup Brasil. So Werner Neubauer comes in 4th. He comes very strong there behind Miguel Paludo. Let's see if Miguel Paludo at the end of the straight is able to do a move on Lucas Salles. He goes here. Number 8 of Werner Neubauer also goes on the outside. Now he tries to go on the inside of Miguel Paludo, gets the position on the inside. No, Miguel Paludo is able to stay there in 3rd. And then in 4th, we have Alceu Feldman, which is the green Porsche, and Francisco Horta, with the yellow Porsche number 77. This is the second yellow Porsche. The first yellow Porsche is number 8 of Werner Neugebauer.
But Sergio, independently of what happens, we have to praise Miguel Paludo's race start. We have to remember that he was 7th on the grid and already running 3rd, applying a big pressure there on Lucas Salles. I believe that both Paludo and Neugebauer will be able to overtake Salles given the difference of experience of these drivers. Salles, as I said, driver from the sport class, and he's battling against the 7-time champion. That is Miguel Paludo, and draw a true penalty for Marcel Miller. No, Marcel Miller is 554. Who is 555? I don't remember, but
555 is Eamon Darwish.
Ayman Darvic then, so drive-through penalty for Ayman Darvic, and actually Marcel Miller is 544. But anyway, Marcel Miller probably out of the fight for the championship, even though we still have to apply the worst results discarded for the season finale. But anyway, Paludo is doing what he has to do now. Of course, he needs to overtake Salles in order to defend himself from Werner Neugebauer and then see if he's able to attack Nicolas Costa. But this fight is good for Costa because he opens a big gap there ahead of the pack.
Yeah, and Lucas Salles defending himself very well, Carlos, because Paludo is trying to put on the inside, on the outside. He's trying to find a space there to put his car side by side with Lucas Salles. That would give him a chance on the following turn to get ahead of Salles, but he's not being able to do that. And apparently Salles is holding all the field there because we have Miguel Paludo, we have Werner Neugebauer, we have Alceu Feldman, then we have Francisco Horta. Rodrigo Melo comes behind, a little bit behind Francisco Horta, and then after Melo we have Raijan Mascarello, Nelson Marcondes, and Edu Menossi. So all these drivers are there, they are lined up, they are not far one from each other, as it seems that Lucas Salles was able to open a little bit of a gap ahead of Miguel Paludo. It's not a lot, but Miguel Paludo was really glued there to Lucas Salles, and he's not anymore.
Yeah, lost a bit of touch there, but of course he still has conditions to get closer, catch up, and try the overtaking maneuver. As we see one more onboard camera this time around with Alceu Feldman's car, as we see that he's trying to get closer and closer. I believe that he has the conditions to do so. These drivers are trying to make a good recovery race because Alceu, given his experience, should have been ahead. Safety car once more.
Yeah, for Eamon Darwish, they're going to take it's in a dangerous position. It's right. They have to take away the car. The safety cars in Porsche Cup, I think they are very efficient, Carlos. We see other types of races that sometimes the safety car stays a long time there, more than, I would say, more than necessary. I know something is being done with the other, but it takes a long time with other safety cars. And with Porsche Cup, also because there are no stops, we look at Franco Giaffoni, that was the onboard from Franco Giaffoni, because they do not stop at the pits during the race. They can, really, they just remove the car and go back to racing. So usually that's what happens. It's very rare to see a long safety car in Porsche Cup.
Yeah, I agree. The safety car deployments work very well. We also have to praise the rescue teams because they tend to clean the track very fastly. And of course, we are talking about races that usually have incidents, crashes, and touches between drivers. So that organization is something that we have to highlight. And as we see Lucas Salles trying to hit his tires, we have to see if he will be able to stay ahead of Paludo. I wouldn't bet on charge from Lucas trying to overtake Nicolas. Nicolas has been excellent in this race so far, as we see that the pace car, the safety car there, is waiting for the back to come.
Yeah, so we have at least one more lap, as we see the detail of Bruno Campos, who was the pole position for the rookie class. And this is also in the rookie class, this driver, João Barbosa, in the 121. It's interesting, Carlos. Bruno Campos is 11th. He's the leader of the rookie class. And Peter Ferter, who started from behind, is 12th. So a good performance by Peter Ferter so far. He really was able to advance.
Yeah, also benefiting from other incidents, but we have to praise what he has done so far, given the fact that he started last in this
Exactly.
race one grid. And he
He-
had an issue in qualifying, so a good
Yeah,
recovery for him.
Yeah, he started 25th, so he got 13 positions. Not the same for Bruno Campos. Bruno Campos started 14th, he's 11th. So pretty much we can attribute most of the positions he got give to the incidents that happen on track. But anyway, it's a good performance by him. I would say it's important for him, to get this good result. And who knows, he'll be able to get a top 10. And you have there Nicolas Costa leading the race. Apparently we'll have the restart soon. I don't know, the safety car just accelerated there.
And just talking about Bruno Campos, yeah, I believe that we have green flag soon, but being far from incidents is also a merit. So good for him that he has managed to capitalize on the others' crashes and so on. And of course, we saw the onboard camera there of Franco Giaffoni. He had a touch with Gustavo Farah, so one important driver of the rookie class of Porsche Carrera Cup, apparently has been touched there. And let's see if there's anything to come in terms of decision penalties by the stewards, because Franco Giaffoni touched the back of Farah's car. But anyway, eventful start of race one so far.
Race is scheduled for 25 minutes plus 1 lap, so we already passed half of it. It's a little bit under 12 minutes to go plus 1 lap. Look who's advancing there. Someone's getting positions there very weirdly. And we have green flag again. We have green flag again. Nicolas Costa stays ahead of the pack. Miguel Paludo is behind Lucas Salles. And what a battle there. What a battle here, Carlos. Wow. Involving Bruno Campos and other drivers. Very interesting battle there in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, always very dynamic, and we had a communication by the stewards there. The incident between Marçal Miller and Lenil Pires that touched between both of them right after the race start will be investigated after the race. It makes sense given the fact that Miller lost a lot of ground. Pires is already out of the race, and probably the incident won't have any impact on the result ahead of the pack. So the stewards will take a look to that after the race, as Paludo is catching up.
He's trying again to get to Lucas Salles. His battle for the second position. In fourth, we have Werner Neugebauer, who has Alceu Feldman behind him. But Alceu Feldman fell a little bit behind in regards to Werner Neugebauer. And now he's being pressured by Francisco Horta, who is from the rookie class. So it's very interesting situation there. I'm not sure, in my opinion, Carlos, that Miguel Paludo will be able to overtake Lucas Salles. Lucas Salles has been very fast all the weekend. As you mentioned during our transmission of the qualifying sessions, he was the fastest yesterday in free practice, getting ahead of Marçal Miller. And now he's in the second there. That was very well deserved, That's pretty much the position he would have started if Nicolas Costa hadn't been penalized for going off track limits. Of course, he cannot get this time, but I'm just pointing out that Lucas Salles is being really fast. So I don't doubt that Paludo might overtake him, but it will not be easy for sure, Carlos.
Yeah, definitely not. And apparently Werner Neugebauer is actually getting closer to Paludo than Paludo putting pressure on Salles in this moment. So it's an interesting fight. Once more, we highlight that Werner Neubauer is the guy with most race wins in this series at Termas de Río Hondo. So particular fight, and that's interesting also for Alceu Feldman that is right behind. So maybe he can catch up as we see the fight ahead through Alceu Feldman onboard camera. But anyway, one more incident under investigation by the stewards, precisely the touch between Giafone and Gustavo Farah. So maybe a penalty for Franco Giafone.
And now we see Neubauer is closer to Paludo than Paludo is closer to Lucas Salles. I don't know if Paludo is just waiting a little bit to try another time, to try once again.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You think he's losing track position? Positional, but ground.
Yes, because Werner is getting closer and closer. The point is, Werner is very aggressive, and it seems that his pace is good. So, for Paludo, the main concern is to defend his position in this moment and not attack. Even though now Feldman is attacking Neubauer. Let's see.
Yeah, battle for 4th position there. Alceu Feldman behind Werner Neubauer. This is the onboard with Alceu Feldman. Best lap by Nicolas Costa. That's what something we expected. It's not a big surprise. A nice image there of Feldman trying to get close to Werner Neubauer, as Paludo really opened a reasonable gap there, even though he has not been able to attack once again Lucas Salles. He's a little bit behind Lucas Salles. You see the gap there. It's not really he's not pressuring Lucas Salles for the 2nd position.
Yeah, but that's an interesting fight, a multiple fight there, because lap by lap the situation changes a bit. We had in the beginning Paludo putting pressure on Salles, then Salles opened a bit of a gap, then Neubauer was able to catch up with Paludo, and they were quite close to each other, but now Feldman is putting pressure on Werner, and of course Paludo was able to open a bit of a gap. He's trying to catch up and get closer and closer to Salles, but Salles seems to be managing the pace very intelligently, even though of course we're talking about very experienced driver that is Miguel Paludo. So I don't know if Salles is thinking about managing. I believe that he's putting the foot on the pedal as much as he can with such an accomplished driver right behind, and that's all good for Nicolas Costa. We saw that he clocked the fastest lap time there, and he's opening more and more a good gap.
So it will be probably, unless a big surprise comes, another win for Nicolas Costa in 2023, a very important win that will make it bigger, his advantage of the 2nd place in the championship, which it seems that will be Miguel Paludo after this race, Carlos, at least in the total points overall, because Marcel Miller right now he's recuperating, but he's still in the 15th position with a little bit over 5 minutes to go. So with some luck there, he might get to the top 10, but it will be hard anyway for him. Let's see if he has this opportunity, but he will score a lot less points than Nicolas Costa and Miguel Paludo.
Definitely. That's a lot of ground to recuperate, so it will be difficult for him, and of course that has an important impact when we think about the title fight, as now Neubauer seems to have opened once more reasonable gap to Alceu Feldman. Let's see if he's able to once more get closer to Paludo, and now Paludo tries to pressure Salles once more. It's interesting because that's also a tactical fight, especially in such a wide track. When you show yourself in the mirrors of your rival, it doesn't mean that you will have the momentum necessary to overtake, but that has also a psychological factor in your rival, as we see there an interesting fight between Paulo Souza and Carlos Campos, I believe.
Yes, it's Carlos Campos. Carlos Campos is in the Porsche number 14. Paulo Souza is behind him. And that's a battle for the 60th position. Oh!
Is it Menossi or Frangulis? I think
I think it's
Menossi.
Menossi. I think it's Edu Menossi.
Or
Let's double
Ginkiewicz,
check.
maybe.
No, I don't think it's Ginkiewicz. Yeah, I can't identify the car. Or Linneu Pires? It could be Linneu Pires, Carlos.
No, I don't think so. Linneu's car is green, if I'm not wrong. The 88 that was involved in the crash with Marcel Miller in the beginning of the race.
It's true. Yeah. Linneu Pires was involved already. There you see the onboard from Lucas Salles. Number 70, Nicolas Costa is with a comfortable advantage of second place. He didn't open a big gap, Carlos, but a gap large enough to give him some tranquility there, to make him race easy. Probably he's, saving a little bit in his car in case he needs, but he doesn't need to get faster than that. I mean, Nicolas Costa.
Yeah, definitely. That's the gap that is good enough in order to be manageable. He can control his pace if Salles or even Paludo, if Miguel is able to overtake, if one of them gets closer, then he pushes a little bit more because he still has a good advantage. And I believe that he's en route to the race win, and that will be very important for him. In terms of championship standings, standing a bit, he's leading the championship. But anyway, Paludo's still trying to attack. So we see that Lucas Salles is already a pro in terms of managing his pace and defending his position. Sergio.
Yeah, I would say that Lucas Salles deserves to be in the main Carrera Cup next year if he competes again, if he comes back. I would say he totally deserves being among the Carrera Cup guys. And look, the incident involving Giorgio Frangulis will be investigated at the end of the race, after the end of the race.
So it was Frangulis, not Menossi in that incident. It was Giorgio's car. Not good at all for him, but very good for Lucas Salles when we think about the fight for the sport class title. And actually, Salles is good enough to be bothering the guys that are fighting for the main Porsche Carrera Cup title. That's the case for Miguel Paludo, and he isn't that far from Nicolas Costa, as we said, but Costa, I believe, is managing his gap.
Yeah, Paludo is now again trying everything to overtake Lucas Salles. He just can't give a bump and go, Carlos. if he were able to do a bump and go, if it would be legal, definitely that's what he would do, because he's faster than Lucas Salles, but just a little bit, not enough for overtaking. You can see that Paludo, he gets really close to his adversary with under 30 seconds to go in the regular time. Then we'll finish the lap the drivers are on, and then have one more lap. So we're very close to the end of the race. Nicolas Costa is most probably get the win, with Lucas Salles, it seems, getting the second place, as Paludo gives him a little bit of more space right now.
Yeah, the bump and go won't work in Porsche Cup Brazil, but anyway, he's trying to put pressure in order to force a mistake from Salles, but Lucas is very comfortable, it seems, despite Paludo's charge, because he didn't make any mistake, at least so far. I don't want to force anything wrong by Salles, but it seems that he's okay there. And as you said, apparently the gap is a little bit bigger now compared to what we had around 30 seconds ago. But Werner is also a bit behind Paludo, so I believe the top three is settled, even though there's still the last lap to come.
There you see Nicolas Costa, his last lap of the 9th race of the season for the Carrera Cup, Porsche Brasil, Porsche C6 Bank MasterCard Championship, season 2023. Nicolas Costa, who leads the championship, will get one more victory to his curriculum. It's his first year in the category. He's doing really well, with Lucas Salles about to finish second after starting on the pole position. He lost the lead right on the first lap, so he didn't even lead a lap to claim his own, but he is in a solid second place. He was able to stop the attacks from Miguel Paludo. Miguel Paludo is a very experienced driver, but Lucas Salles, showing his talent as well, was able to stop Paludo there at third position. But Miguel Paludo, also a very nice race for him, because he started 7th. He was able to take advantage of the contact in the beginning of the race of Marçal Miller and Lineu Pires. So Miguel Paludo had a great start and was able to get. And there we have Nicolas Costa winning the 9th race of the Porsche Carrera Cup Sprint Championship. There is his team vibrating and commemorating, well deserved, with Lucas Salles in second and Miguel Paludo in third. Werner Neugebauer, a good 4th position for him. Alceu Feldman 5th. Then Francisco Horta, Rodrigo Melo, Raijan Mascarello, Nelson Marcondes, and Nelson Monteiro. These are the top 10 for this first race here this weekend at Termas de Río Hondo, Carlos.
Yeah, nice race, Sergio. We had everything: overtaking maneuvers, fight for position, especially in the top 3 there, between Salles, Paludo, and Werner Neugebauer as well. Alceu Feldman also joined the fight there, putting pressure on Werner. Eventually, that was the podium in this order: Costa, Salles, Paludo, Neugebauer, and Feldman. The overall podium. Of course, we have also the podium for the sport class and the rookie class. We have to praise Lucas Salles, because apart from P2 overall, he's the winner of the sport class, so he will be spearheading the podium. And for the rookie class, we have to say that it was a very interesting race as well. Of course, Edu Guedes leading in the championship standings, but a difficult weekend for him so far, given the fact that his class rivals were in a very good day and outperformed him. So Bruno Campos wins, João Barbosa second, Paulo Souza third, Gustavo Farah fourth after that touch that he got from Franco Giaffoni, and Edu Guedes only 5th, but anyway completed the podium. And there's still another race this Sunday for them to fight for the title. And when we think about the main Porsche Carrera Cup Championship, this is the guy that celebrates the most, with no doubts. Of course, major blow for Marçal Miller when he thinks about his title pretensions, because that touch with Lineu Pires compromised his whole result, and of course there's not much that can be done right now.
Yeah, Marçal Miller finished 11th, so he almost got to the top 10, but there was not time enough. Of course, he was faster there, coming behind the rookie class drivers and sports class drivers. We know Lucas Salles was second from the sport class, but I would say, Carlos, at this point, he's in a league of his own in the sport class, because the second guy from sport class, which was Francisco Horta, was 4 positions behind him. He finished 6th, and then Raijan Mascarello 8th overall, Nelson Marcondes 9th, and Nelson Monteiro 10th. So Lucas Salles really did a very good work. There we see Nicolas Costa going to commemorate. Very good day for him. And now tomorrow he'll be the pole position, so chances for him are even higher to get a second victory in the weekend here, make a sweep in Termas de Río Hondo while he commemorates with his team.
Yeah, the bad side that we had 2 qualifying sessions is that Costa got a pole position. Of course, I'm not saying that I don't want him to win or anything like that, but if he converts tomorrow's pole to race win, then the situation of the championship will be pretty much favorable for him, and he will only have to manage the points gap in the season finale at Interlagos. But anyway, he deserves that also because he was fast enough to have the second spot on the grid, even with his best lap time being discarded in today's quali because he exceeded track limits at turn 9. But in the second quali, of course, he was the fastest and now starting ahead of the pack tomorrow with good chances to extend his lead and then manage the situation in order to be crowned champion of the sprint championship of Porsche Carrera Cup at Interlagos. But anyway, nice race. As I said, it had everything, overtaking maneuvers, crashes as well. Important incidents considering the title protagonists. That was the case with Marcel Miller. Sadly for Marcel in this case, but anyway, a lot of entertainment in this first race out of 4 this weekend. We now have the Porsche Sprint Challenge race to come, and of course 2 more races tomorrow, one for each championship, and Costa has to celebrate because he has been doing a very, very good season, Sergio.
Yeah, now Miguel Paludo goes to second in this championship with the overall points, but Marcel Miller has, with this race, another bad result to discard. So when they discard, we don't have the math now, but when they discard, Marcel Miller might even stay a little bit ahead of Miguel Paludo. Let's wait and see. Let's see what happens. But anyway, tomorrow we'll have this information for sure, as there is lots of things. The results have to be made official and all these things before we have the real points for each driver. There we see the winners of each of the categories: main Carrera Cup, Nicolas Costa; sports class, Lucas Salles; Bruno Campos in the rookie class. So these are the 3 great winners of this race, and they will be here tomorrow on Sunday for the second race of the season and 10th of the championship. There we have Nicolas Costa, Salles, Paludo, Werner Neugebauer, Seu Feldman, Francisco Horta, Rodrigo Melo, Mascarello, Nelson Marcondes, and Nelson Monteiro, rounding the top 10 for this race in Termas de Río Hondo. Now we see starting 11th, that was Marcel Miller. Peter Ferter, Carlos started from 25th, 12th. Very good result for him, ahead of Bruno Campos, who won in the rookie class.
Yeah, interesting race by Peter Ferter. We said that he had an issue in qualifying, was able to recuperate very well. A good recovery race for him, starting from P25, so last on the grid. Very good job done by Peter. Interesting to see also the podiums of the lower classes, if we can say so. The sport one with Salles winning, and I believe Monteiro rounding not just the top 10 but also the podium of the class, and Edu Guedes still saved, if we can say so, a podium in the rookie class. So the leader lost ground but was there. And of course we had some blows in the middle of the way with Jorge Frangoulis, especially. That was the second in the sport class championship, and also Marcel Miller, especially. He is definitely the guy that loses more after this race 1 of the Termas de Rio Hondo round, as we see now the podium overall with their Costa, Salles, then we have Paludo in the white and red overall there, and of course Werner Neugebauer to the left and Alceu Feldman to the right.
So they are all receiving their trophies. That's the only driver from sport class is Lucas Salles. That's Denner Pires giving the trophy, no? Yeah, that's Denner Pires.
Yeah, that's it. The CEO
that's
of Porsche Cup Brasil.
of Porsche Cup giving the trophy to Werner Neugebauer. Now it will be the trophy to Miguel Paludo, 3rd place. Nice trophies, Carlos. Look, how big they are. How yeah, they're very interesting. I want to see the 1st place.
Yeah, they get bigger and bigger, or are they the same? Let's see.
I think they are about the same size.
Let's see for the winner, but I think that's the same size.
Yeah, the difference must be what's written there, first place. Yeah, it's the same size.
But anyway, nice trophy and nice to be awarded the winner's trophy, and that's why Costa celebrates so much. Nice to see also Denner Pires there in the trophy presentation ceremony, the CEO of Porsche Cup Brasil, as Sergio said. And we have to praise his job and the whole Porsche Cup Brazil team job. They organized a very good series. We have been broadcasting for a while already, Sergio, and we see that the job is very well done in terms of spare cars, in terms of safety car deployments. The race direction is very good as well. And of course, the most important thing, entertainment, and that's down to the drivers. So Costa, especially, and Sales, Bruno Campos as well, winning the rookie class, they all have to be praised. And good expectation for tomorrow's race as well when we think about the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. Now, shortly, we will have the Porsche Sprint Challenge Race 1 of this weekend's Termas de Rio Hondo round. And once more, it's important to remember penultimate round of the Sprint Championship of the 2023 Porsche Cup Brazil season. So we are reaching that point of the year in which every single result is important and decisive, Sergio.
Yes, totally right, Carlos. As we see some of the highlights of this first race, we are waiting for the second race now, the Sprint Challenge race. We might see some podiums before, but the cars from the sprint race are already on the track. These are recuperated images that we got. That's the commemoration for the team of Nicolas Costa. And now we have the podium for the sports class. We have on top of the podium Lucas Salles. Then in second place with the yellow overall is
Horta.
Francisco Horta. Then Raijan Mascarello is the one holding the trophy right now. And then we have Nelson Marcondes and Nelson Monteiro. Here on your right side is Nelson Monteiro. Second place getting the trophy, Francisco Horta. Great race by Francisco Horta, by the way. But of course, the best of them by far was Lucas Salles, who right now is holding the trophy.
But indeed, great race from Horta. We are already reaching that point of the season, Sergio, in which we think about next year. In Salles, we have to say he's already performing like a pro, as we like to joke about, but he's worthy of a promotion to the main Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. So, in a way, Horta can consider himself a winner, of course, even though he's second, but very good recovery race, a lot of spots gained. Nice to see also Raijan Mascarello, that is the reigning Sprint Challenge champion, now performing well in this sport class of Porsche Carrera Cup. Also, Nelson Marcondes and Nelson Monteiro rounding at the podium there in the sport class, as we will have now the ceremonies of the rookie class with Bruno Campos winning. And the Porsche Sprint Challenge cars are already on the track.
Exactly. Let's wait for the podium probably. And then we'll have the start of the Sprint Challenge race. Usually one race is run right after the other. There is not much delay between the first race from Carrera Cup and the first race for Sprint Challenge. And there we have on top of the charts is Bruno Campos with the gray overall. In second is João Barbosa. Then in third we have Paulo Souza. In fourth, Gustavo Farah. And fifth, Edu Guedes. So Edu Guedes is the one here on the right side of your screen holding the trophy. And giving applause now to second place, who was João Barbosa. And this is the overall winner for the rookie class. He got the pole position. He was the best today. He got pole position for both the races today and tomorrow. And he wins the first race. So a perfect job by him. Now we see Antonella ahead of the pack, ready for the start of the Sprint Challenge. So it's Antonella Bassani that will start ahead of everybody. He will start. She will start along Eduardo Taurissano.
And Sergio, just a quick note about the podium of the rookie class of Porsche Carrera Cup. Farah wasn't happy at all because he missed an opportunity to get closer to Edu Guedes and was touched by Franco Giaffoni, so we saw that he wasn't celebrating that much as we see the grid for Porsche Sprint Challenge.
Antônio Junqueira, Miguel Pagnotti in the second row. Then we have Zanon and the championship leader Marcelo Tomassoni, Sério Brasil and Urubatan Jr. On the fourth row. Behind them we have Israel Salman and Josimar Jr. And then Sadak Leite and Christian Moore. They are going to start on the sixth row. Seventh row, we'll have Seba Malucelli and Luis Souza. And then behind, we'll see Ramon Alcaraz and Sang Joaquin. We hadn't talked about him so far, about either of them, Alcaraz and Sang Joaquin. Arthur Ramos and Eric Santos are there in the ninth row. And finally, in the 10th and last row, we have Walter Lester and Wagner Pontes. Walter Lester, who is from the sport class, he got behind Eric
What
Santos.
happened?
Gustavo Zanon.
Did he miss the wheel? The wheel got loose.
Yeah, he's without his left side wheel. Wow.
What a bizarre incident. Let's see if there's the replay. I didn't remember seeing something like that, Sergio.
Might have been a mistake on the pits, I don't know. And
there we see the wheel.
Well, it's flat, I mean.
Yeah.
But one thing is the wheel to be flat, the other is to detach
Yes.
of the car, you know. They're two different things.
Which is worse.
Which is worse, exactly. And I think the safety car, I don't know if we're starting the race, Carlos,
no,
with
one more
the
lap.
safety car, or if it will be one more lap to start. I would prefer to be one more lap to start. But
yeah, we don't see the clock ticking, so I believe that one more lap behind the safety car in order to rescue Gustavo Zanon's car there, and then the race start. That's more logical, I would say, and Zanon out of the race.
I agree with you, you know, because there is no reason to start with the safety car if you can do one more lap and have a good start. If it were raining a lot, or for some reason like that you need the safety car of in the first few laps, it's okay, it's fine. But let's see how they count it.
But what a bizarre incident. I'm eager to see the replay. I don't remember. I say it once more. I don't remember seeing this happen, especially in such a well-organized series as is Porsche Cup Brazil. But maybe something when they put the wheel there, so maybe an issue with the pistol that theoretically should put the wheel in a very tight way there in the point of the axle, but it got detached, as you said, and of course that's a worse situation when you compare to a puncture or anything like that. And of course for Gustavo Zanon, that's a shame, because I think he's out of the race.
Yeah, that's the end of it.
And that's a mistake from his pit crew, because even though it's a one-team series, it's all Porsche Cup Brazil, he has his mechanics, his engineer, so maybe an issue or something with the pistol, as I said. But anyway, let's see if there's the replay, and I believe that we'll have the green flag shortly.
Antonella Bassani will lead the field with Eduardo Taurissani. They are already aligning side by side. On your left side, you have Antonella. On the right side, you have Eduardo Taurissano. Then behind Antonella, we have Antonio Junqueira. Is that Porsche red, white, and with a little touch of green. And behind Eduardo Taurissano, we'll have Miguel Mariotti, as we have the onboard from Antonella Bassani. Now we'll have the start of the race. Like the Carrera Cup race, it will be 25 minutes plus one lap. Antonella Bassani, her first pole position, conquered on the track, not by inversion of the grid. She already started first with the inversion of the grid. Eduardo Taurissano was just 5/1000ths of a second slower than Antonella Bassani in the classifying during the classification. And he's preparing there. He's a little bit behind Antonella Bassani. The red lights are on. When they turn off, we start the race. So it's green, green, green. Antonio Junqueira comes here on the left side, trying to get the position from Antonella Bassani. Antonella Bassani stays ahead. Look at Antonio Junqueira. He's already second, but he's not able to overtake Antonella Bassani. Eduardo Taurissano falls to fourth position. Great start by Antonio Junqueira. Antonella Bassani was able to keep her first position, and now Taurissano is already in third. He fell to fourth, but he already recuperated his third. He's very dangerous driver, Carlos, in terms of getting positions, not as a bad guy, but as a driver who races really hard and is able to get positions.
Yeah, definitely.
As we see, Carlos, as we see Marcelo Tomassoni getting fourth position there. Go ahead, Carlos.
No, important overtaking maneuver from Tomassoni, by the way. He started sixth, already fourth. We are talking about the season leader that is seeing one of his title rivals, that is Antonella Bassani, starting from pole and maintaining her lead. So Tomassoni has to react. You mentioned it, how dangerous Taurissano is, of course, in the good sense of the word, because he's very good when he goes to the overtaking maneuver. He usually is able to overtake, and now he's closing the gap to Antonio Junqueira. We have to praise Junqueira's start as well, apart from Tomassoni that was able to overtake their Mariotti, and nice restart so far. Let's see if there's a fight between Taurissano and Junqueira, because that will be good for Antonella, in order for her to open a bit of a gap. But it seems that we will see a good fight between Junqueira and Taurissano.
Yeah, Taurissano is right behind Antonio Junqueira. There you see both cars. He's really attacking. He fell behind, and on the inside, I like this Eduardo Taurissano, Carlos, because he's very aggressive. He goes for it. Antonella Bassani has a kind of a similar style. She goes for it, and almost Antonio Junqueira lost his position. Let's see if Eduardo Taurissano is able to get to second. The sooner he gets, someone went outside, was able to recuperate, but the sooner he gets to second, he'll be behind Antonella Bassani, and she'll have to take care. And there he is, already in the second place, ahead of Antonio Junqueira. So it's impressive how fast this guy Eduardo Taurissano is. He's really impressive. I think next year, Carlos, if he stays in Porsche, he should go to the Carrera Cup.
Yeah, and we have to remember that he started 2023 in the school category championship, that is Porsche Sprint Trophy, with the older spec of cars, the 991-1 cars that were actually retired by the series, but they started this school category. Eduardo Taurissano completely dominated the first two rounds, and then he was promoted directly to the main Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship. And we see why. He's very intelligent when it comes to position his car in order to overtake his rivals, as he did with Antonio Junqueira. That is also one of the highlights of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship so far, even though driving for the sport class. But anyway, Taurissano has to be praised. Antonella, as you said, has a similar driving style in terms of being aggressive in a good sense of the word. Tomassoni, there in this gray car, gray and yellow, was able to overtake Mariotti, but Mariotti is trying to reclaim the position. So interesting fight as well. Let's see if Taurissano will be able to catch up and attack Antonella. He's a very fast driver and a very fierce one as well. Talking about good highlights of the race start, Christian Mora as well, the second in the standings, started 12th and is already 7th.
Yeah, great work by Christian Moore. I was going to point that, Carlos, but you mentioned it before. So he got 5 positions so far, which is excellent. As we see again, the start of the race when Antonio Junqueira jumped from third to second, almost was able to overtake leader Antonella Bassani, but then Antonio Junqueira couldn't resist to the attack of Eduardo Taurissano, who has been faster than Antonella Bassani and is trying to get closer to her. So the difference is already smaller, as we see Ramon Alcaraz with the number 57, problems for Ramon Alcaraz. Look at his right rear tire. And there, all the pressure on Marcelo Tomassoni, Miguel Mariotti, and already Christian Moore there. Christian Moore is already there in the 6th position.
What a race.
And he goes for Mariotti. He's not able to overtake Miguel Mariotti, but he tried.
And it seems he has the best pace when we think about this three-car fight there, because Moore started 12th, was able to go to 7th after a couple of laps, and now already attacking Mariotti, that is in a very similar pace to Tomassoni's. Tomassoni, that got a good race start as well, but Christian Moore is fighting for his title chances. He has to do so, especially finishing ahead of Marcelo Tomassoni, and let's see if Taurissano will be able to overtake Antonella, because that would be important for Christian Moore as well.
Yes, and you see there that Taurissano got to Antonella, so now it will be, let's see if she's able to hold him behind her, because in the last race we saw she leading, she wasn't able to hold him. We have a local yellow flag there. I don't know what happened. Look how close he is already to Antonella Bassani, Carlos. He's putting all the pressure on the young driver, Antonella Bassani. Antonella Bassani so far is resisting. She is doing a good job there of defense, but I'm not sure she'll be able to hold the Taurissano, because Taurissano, as we pointed out, is very aggressive. He goes for it. And that's a nice thing. Sometimes you don't see the driver going for it. And there he is. Eduardo Taurissano leads the race ahead of Antonella Bassani.
Yeah, his pace is amazing. We saw that he was being way faster than Antonella, and probably will open a good gap there. We saw that local yellow flag. There was debris, maybe a loose part of the bodywork of someone's car. I don't know if it was Ramon Alcaraz that had an issue, but anyway, no safety car or anything like that. I believe that he will clean the track quite fastly, and let's see if Antonella will be able to stay a little bit closer to Taurissano, because if it stays like that, he will open a good gap in just a moment, just a couple of laps, and then it will be up to Junqueira and the rest of the pack to catch up, as Moore apparently is still trying to overtake Miguel Mariotti, and Tomassoni is still ahead of them.
There he is. We saw him open a little bit there to the right side, to the left of your screen, to his right side, but he was not able to overtake Mariotti. There he is, still behind Mariotti, and Mariotti is still behind Marcelo Tomassoni.
Yeah, three of them.
That's lots of debris there, like you said.
Yeah, but they theoretically can clean that without stopping the race or deploying the safety car, but of course that's a dangerous task for the track marshals. But these three drivers, they are in a very similar pace, lap by lap. One of them gets a best result in terms of lap time, but anyway, that's important when we think about the championship. And let's see if Moore's charge will be enough to give him a result ahead of his title rival, that is Marcelo Tomassoni. And of course, both of them benefit from Taurissano's overtaking maneuver, passing Antonella Bassani. Let's wait and see, but so far so good, especially for Tomassoni. He's not that far from Antonella, and 2 spots ahead of Moore, but Moore has a good pace, and let's see if Mariotti resists.
Yeah, we have to remember that Eduardo Taurissano doesn't dispute the championship because he started late in the game, late in the season. So he missed the first three races, right? No, he missed the first 2 races.
Yeah.
Missed the first 2 races, and in his first race, he didn't score any points. That was in Goiás, in the central part of Brazil. Then he scored 16 points, but then he won both races in Interlagos, right, Carlos? As far as I remember,
Both races.
yeah, he won both races. So, and that was with the inversion of the grid. So that it shows how strong has been Eduardo Taurissano. But he's far behind, in the championship because of the points he didn't score. He has just 69 points to 180 to Marcelo Tomassoni. So even if he wins, he's not going to be able to get to the championship leader.
Is that's him? He lost the lead position. Something happened.
Something happened. You're right.
He's behind Moore right now.
No, Moore is behind there. Moore went wide there. He's behind Antonio Junqueira. No, he's behind Moore.
No, Moore had an issue as well. Both of them.
Yeah. Wow. And I was talking good about the guy. And Antonella Bassani now has the lead with Antonio Junqueira second. And then Marcelo Tomassoni third. And look the gap now that Antonella Bassani has. Now it will be hard, even for Eduardo Taurissano, if it was just a little mistake he committed. It will be hard for him to get there, but it might be a problem with the car, Carlos. Let's wait and see. Let's follow very close. Yeah, he's not there anymore.
He's behind Mariotti.
Yeah, I don't see him there.
I think Moore is out of the race, maybe with an issue with the car. We saw him going wide, but actually he was getting off the track due to something that happened with the car. We still didn't see the replay, but I don't know what happened to Taurissano. I didn't see if it was a driving mistake, an issue with the car. Apparently the car is okay because he's there trying to catch up and get closer to Miguel Mariotti, but my goodness, what happened? All of a sudden, we had the race leader dropping to 5th, I believe, right now. And now, of course, Christian Moore out of the race. So his whole charge is useless after all, given the fact that apparently he retires his car. So in 2 or 3 corners, everything changed. That's racing.
Exactly, and that would be a huge victory for Antonella Bassani if she's able to stay there, and she would be ahead of Christian Moore. Wow.
He spun.
Yeah.
Alone. So, driving mistake. We cannot compliment that much because that gives bad luck to the drivers.
But he was trying. He was doing his best. That's what I like about him. He goes to the limit. Yeah, it was a mistake for sure, but he goes to the limit. That says a lot about him. But what I was saying, Carlos, that Antonella Bassani started the race just 8 points behind Christian Moore. So with the problem with Christian Moore, I think he's there in the 13th position, Carlos. As far as I see, I'm not sure he abandoned the race. Or you might confirm that. It shows 13th there, so...
Anyway, losing a lot of ground in the championship.
Yeah.
And something happened because he was fighting for the 5th position, and then all of a sudden he lost a lot of ground independently of a retirement of the car or anything like that. That's a major blow, and look at Tomassoni.
Yeah, Tomassoni trying to get the position from Antonio Junqueira. Antonio Junqueira is resisting. Antonio Junqueira is from the sport class. Tomassoni is the main challenge class. This is another driver for me, Carlos, that next year should be among the main sprint challenge class, the main category. Antonio Junqueira, because he is really racing very well since the beginning of the season. He's putting one good result after the other. Right now in the championship, He is, I believe, in 5th place exactly. He's in 5th place, but he didn't race in the last round in Interlagos. So I would say easily he would be in 4th place. He wouldn't be in 3rd place because he would not be able to get Antonella Bassani, but he easily would get over Miguel Mariotti, who currently is in 4th place. So Antonio Junqueira is doing a very nice season. And he's ahead of other drivers that are from the sprint challenge. You know, he's way ahead of other drivers, even with
Missing one round.
last 2 races, missing 1 round, 2 races. Even though he missed these 2 races, he's still ahead of many sprint challenge drivers. So in the championship standings.
And missing 1 round, 2 races, as you said, he's still second in the sport class, only 1 point behind Sadak Leite. Considering his likely result today, he will probably be leading the sport class once more because he's currently second as Taurisano tries to overtake Mariotti.
And he has position. He has position, Eduardo Taurisano. Oh, look at that. Tomassoni fell behind. Tomassoni fell behind. Miguel Mariotti overtakes Tomassoni. And Taurisano goes side patches. That might bring him a huge problem for Taurisano. He clearly touched. Let's see the replay to make sure. But for me, apparently he touched the number 21 of Miguel Mariotti. Look at that. Oh no, but Miguel Mariotti went way outside as well. So there is a doubt there, Carlos. Now I'm not sure about what I first saw, because we see that Mariotti closes the space for Taurisano on the right side of the track.
He doesn't leave the room for a car, the space for another car in the inside line there. So he closes the door, and of course that was not Taurisano's fault, at least in my opinion. I don't know if Tomassoni has an issue, because he was fighting for second spot and trying to overtake Antonio Junqueira, and all of a sudden he loses ground. I suspected initially that he had a puncture, but I don't think that's the case. His car seems okay, but anyway, lost ground all of a sudden as well, and he's under attack now by Josimar Jr., but overtaking Taurisano, is that so?
Let's see. No, not yet. But he's putting all the pressure on Tomassoni. Taurisano with the pressure on Tomassoni. Look how he goes, you know. He stays right behind you, put the pressures. He opens, trying to get the position, but so far Tomassoni, who leads the championship, stays ahead. I know. Beautiful maneuver, Carlos. Beautiful maneuver. He made Taurisano go wide there and he prepared, you know, the overtake. And it was incredible what Taurisano did. And now I'm in doubt if he's not going to get to Antonella Bassani again. I'm really in doubt about that, because after what he did there, the gap is huge. It's over 5 seconds, and we don't have much time to go. But what a maneuver by Eduardo Taurisano.
But interesting, this replay, they both have issues with the bodywork. You see that the bodywork is touching the ground there, so it probably compromises the performance of his car, Taurisano's car. And I think the situation is the same with Marcelo Tomassoni. I think there's a loose part of the bodywork touching. I don't know if that's the asphalt or the rubber of the tire. So I don't think that Taurisano will have the pace to attack Junqueira and then try to attack Antonella Bassani. He's currently third, but both Taurisano and Tomassoni with issues with their cars, minor issues. And now look at him.
And he falls behind again. He falls behind again, doesn't he? Yes. He's having a problem maybe with his tires. Because as you said, it was touching his tires, part of the car. And he fell way behind, Carlos. He's with a tire problem.
Yes. But Tomassoni's car isn't completely okay as well. But I think that his situation is a bit better. Moore? I think so. Yes.
Wow. That's Christian Moore. he goes back to the track. What a race for him. And there you have Josimar Jr. with Tomassoni behind him.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, third position for Josimar Jr. Whoa!
There it's end of the race for him.
Yeah.
So that's it for him. He should wait there for the end of the race. I don't think this will bring a safety car. We see there Antonella Bassani leading the race way ahead of Antonio Junqueira way ahead of Josimar Jr., who has Marcelo Tomassoni right behind him. And then we see Carlos Célio Brasil.
What a weekend for
Brazil, who is a rookie driver in 5th place. That's incredible. Not happy, Eduardo Taurissano.
Not happy at all, but one thing has to be said. It is very nice to watch his races. He's very aggressive. He goes for it, but he has to think twice about the overtaking attempts. He probably touched Miguel Mariotti's car in an aggressive way. Of course, it wasn't Eduardo Taurissano's fault alone in that incident, as we said, but that incident caused the issue that made him get out of the race, retire the car with the loose bodywork touching the tire there, and of course it compromised his own result. And we have to remember that the first mistake from Taurissano was when he was leading the race with a good gap, a good advantage compared to Antonella Bassani. He probably overdrove. Yeah, I think he overdrove a bit, and that's why he spun. And then all of a sudden he had to do a recovery race in order to have a good result. Then the fight with Mariotti happened, issue with the loose body work, and then the retirement of the car. So Taurissano has to be a little bit more cautious, but that's his racing style. He has to be aggressive, just a little bit more cautious, not trying to prevent actually any kind of crash as we go now for the last lap, I believe. Penultimate lap.
Two last laps, because she just started this lap. So it's after she completes this lap, that's when we count the last lap. So it's almost two laps to go. And Antonella Bassani is very close to get her second win in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship. So very well done by Antonella Bassani. She was patient. She, of course, capitalized on the mistake of Eduardo Taurissano, but, you know, that's not her problem. She's there to win, and that's what seems she's going to do. And Carlos, you mentioned the work with Bia Figueiredo, with Antonella Bassani, but it's pretty much an all-female team there that goes with her, because Bia Figueiredo has also a program for engineers and technicians, everything related to race car driving for women, for girls usually, you know, young women, let's put it this way, for young women that are starting their careers, and she's incentivizing them, you know, working with them to try to get them, you know, as part. And that's part also of a program that Porsche Cup has. So, but more women working as mechanics, as engineers, and in other technical functions.
Yeah, not just technical, as officers as well. It's very nice, actually, this job that is led by Bia Figueiredo, that is also spearheading the Girls on Track program in Brazil. It is important because, of course, we have talents, female talents, and Antonella Bassani is one of those. And that's why she's winning the race and fighting for the title. So that's not a matter of putting women that shouldn't be in a top racing series. They deserve to be there, and Bia showed this throughout her career. Now it's time for Antonella to prove herself, which she's doing, and very deserving race win there, because she had pole position, clean race, preventing of course, any problems, getting out of trouble, and then capitalizing on what was a good look for her after Eduardo Taurissano's mistake. Let's see how the situation of the championship will be after this race, because Moore had issues, Tomazoni with a decent result given the circumstances, but Antonella Bassani is definitely the girl of the race. Of course, she's the only one, but she deserves a lot. And Célio Brasil, what a weekend.
And there she goes in the last turns of the Termas de Rio Hondo. She passes through Eduardo Taurissano. Probably he's thinking, what did I do to myself? What did I do to myself? But he has to conform himself, and there comes Antonella Bassani to get the checkered flag at Termas de Rio Hondo. It will be her second win in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship 2023 season in Brazil. And there she gets Antonella Bassani, wins the race. Great victory for her. Antônio Junqueira shows there he will be second. Then third will be Josemar Júnior, ahead of championship leader Marcelo Tomassoni. Then we have Célio Brasil, the rookie class, finishing top 5. What a work. He'll get a podium in the main race, Célio Brasil. Sadak Leite, Miguel Mariotti, and Arthur Ramos, Israel Salmon, and Sang Hokin in the 10th position. Very interesting race, Carlos. I would say it had more action than the Carrera Cup race. Also, I like the Carrera Cup. There were some good battles. But here with this driver, Eduardo Taurissano, going for everything, the race turned more interesting. Christian Moore as well, having problems. So it was a very nice race, Carlos.
Yeah, more drama, to say the least.
More drama, yes, you're right.
Taurissano, Moore, as you said. Also, Marcelo Tomazzoni, as we see now, Junqueira and Antonella celebrating together. Also a race win for Junqueira in the sport class. We have to once more praise what Célio Brasil has done. Getting a top 5 overall, being a rookie class driver is something remarkable. Of course, he benefited from some incidents, not just Taurissano's, but Moore's and other situations that happened throughout the race. But he was there, putting his car in the right places, avoiding accidents, and then he gets a top 5. Also a driver that is worthy of a promotion, not maybe not like Junqueira or Taurissano, but we see that he's in a league of his own, the rookie class. So maybe one of the guys that will celebrate the most, alongside this girl that deserves a lot, Antonella Bassani, once more winning and putting pressure on Marcelo Tomazzoni. And that's what we predicted she could do in today's race, because winning, of course, she gets closer to Tomazzoni in the championship standings. Even though Tomazzoni had a good result, we have to say that the 4th spot is pretty decent, considering that he started 6th. He had some incidents, also a loose part of the bodywork there, which probably compromised a bit of his car's performance. But anyway, she puts pressure on Tomazzoni, and we tend to have 3 more races in this Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship, in the sprint races of 2023 in Porsche Brazil. That will be very interesting, and this girl is doing a hell of a job. Sergio, 16 years old if I'm not wrong, or 17, anyway, very young, 2 times finalist of the FIA Girls on Track program, making her debut season in Porsche Brazil and fighting for the Sprint Challenge title.
And she's happy there. We see she's commemorating. Very well deserved for Antonella Bassani as she takes off her helmet. There she is. Antonella Bassani, great work by her. Now she loses her hair. Antônio Junqueira, also a great victory for him. Carlos, and Célio Brasil, an impressive championship there. She's being complemented by Antônio Junqueira.
Yeah, Célio Brasil he can brag about going to the overall podium. That's something that is not easy to do when you are a rookie class driver. So definitely he has to celebrate. I believe that overnight will be nice for him, even though they have to prepare themselves for tomorrow's races. But anyway, he cannot prevent himself from celebrating. That's the same for Junqueira, for Bassani, especially for Bassani, thinking about the fight for the sprint challenge main championship, and just thinking once more about Brazil's situation. He's en route to an important title win as well, given the fact that he now opens a good gap compared to Luis Souza. But anyway, there's still a lot of racing to come. One more tomorrow, and two more in the final round that we'll have at Interlagos. But we have now some of the title fights already going to the way of one specific driver in the sport class of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Championship, Antonio Junqueira. Of course, Célio Brasil in the rookie class. The fight is open in the main class of Porsche Sprint Challenge, especially between Bassani and Marcelo Tomazoni. But in Porsche Carrera Cup, Nicolas Costa has a very good situation, as is the case for Lucas Salles. And in Carrera Cup, the situation is quite the opposite. The lower class, if we can say so, has a title fight that is a bit more open, with Edu Guedes leading. Unfortunately, it wasn't such a good race for Gustavo Farah after that touch that he got from Franco Giaffoni. But very nice races we had today.
Yes, and there we see again some of the highlights of the second race for the Sprint Challenge. Tomorrow on Sunday, we'll start our broadcast at 1 p.m. Brazilian time, 12 noon US Eastern time, or 4 p.m. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. So that will be the race on Sunday as we wait for the podiums here again. Antonella Bassani commemorating with her teammates, and a great work by her, great job by Antonella Bassani. You see, even the photographers are applauding, and a perfect work for her in this race. And there you see the podium already. We're just waiting for Antonella. This first podium we have Antonio Junqueira is second there.
Look how happy Célio is, Sergio. He's very happy.
Yeah, exactly. On the left side is Marcelo Tomassoni, and Célio is in the very right side. That's where Antonella complimented him. And Josimar Jr. is this driver there who receives the kisses. The kiss. Now it comes Denner Pires, who is going to give the trophy to fourth place, Marcelo Tomassoni, who still leads the championship for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of ground to Antonella Bassani, who now should be second. But he didn't probably lose that much. So the difference that was 24 points might go to 18, 16, something like that. So still a huge difference. But tomorrow we have to remember she'll start ahead of him again.
Yeah, that's it.
In the first row. So,
but tomorrow, of course, Tomazoni can react once more. He had a decent race today, even though Antonella Bassani was the winner. And I think she cuts the gap, the advantage that is currently favorable to Marcelo Tomazoni in 8 points, if I'm not wrong, because she gets 28 points now. And if I'm not wrong, the fourth in the first race gets 20 points. So that's not a bad situation for Marcelo Tomazoni, even though he loses a bit of ground, but managing his advantage. And of course, he will be thinking about the standings tomorrow once more, but he cannot think too much. Otherwise, Antonella will be getting closer and closer as they now celebrate with champagne.
There she is, Antonella Bassani, the girl of the day, the driver of the day. She was awesome, really, with her performance. Of course, she lost the pole position, the first position to Taurissano, but then he committed a mistake and she was able to recuperate. Not a good day for Christian Moore. He appears here finishing 12th. So he definitely loses the second position in the championship to Antonella Bassani. So it's been a very bad weekend for him. He started, I believe, 15th tomorrow. So it's not really a good weekend for Christian Moore. Even though, Carlos, he was able to recuperate to go to the top 5 or top 6, but then he got loose again, as we see now the Antonio Junqueira in the top of the podium.
Yeah, sport class podium.
Yeah, we're missing there Célio Brasil. There he arrived, Célio Brasil was second. He was the winner in the rookie class, but in the sport class, they count also the rookie class guys for the podium. So there he is, Célio Brasil. Then after Célio Brasil, we had Sadak Leite, Arthur Ramos, and Israel Salman. So Israel Salman is the one on your very right side. The one holding the trophy is Miguel, is Sadak Leite. Now we have Célio Brasil
and Junqueira.
And
we saw there applauding Gustavo Zanon that lost the wheel prior to the race start. So what a gentleman. I would be pissed off in his place. I believe he is, but that doesn't prevent him from recognizing the good job done by his rivals. But anyway, there's nothing he can do right now, and now focus for race 2. But what a bad luck for Gustavo Zanon.
Yeah. And right before the race, so well, anyway, it wouldn't have made any difference. But if it was just a flat tire, Carlos, he probably could have been able to
pit and change the tires.
And change the tires and just go back to the racetrack, even though probably dead last. He would be able to, get some positions here and there due to accidents that actually happen, right?
He would have the joy to drive as well, apart from compete.
Yes. Yeah, he came all the way here to drive. It's a very well remembered, Carlos. It's part of it, the pleasure that the drivers take on being behind the wheel of these beautiful Porsche cars, and they thrive for it. They expect the whole year for that. And now we have the rookie class. Célio Brasil, which finished 5th overall, is on top of the standings there. Then the second was Wagner Pontes, Eric Santos, and Luis Souza. Remember that we just have 4 drivers in the rookie class. That's why we don't have the 5th driver there, because we saw that during qualifying today. The Sprint Challenge has only 4 rookie drivers, and they are holding their trophies. Now they are facing the correct. So the photographers are here on the right of your screen somewhere. They are taking the photographs, and there you are.
Yeah, but important result for Célio Brasil, not just because of his class win, but also because Luis Souza was the last of the class, and Luis Souza was actually the guy threatening him in the championship standing. So he opens a good gap and then is en route to the class title. Important weekend for him, and what a performance. Collecting their top 5 overall in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Race 1 of this Termas de Rio Hondo round, the penultimate round of the Sprint Championship of 2023 in Porsche Cup.
And we should expect more good racing tomorrow, right, Carlos? On Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Brazilian time, with the starting grid, the first row pretty much having the same drivers as today in Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge, but with inverted positions, and that was done in the second qualifying. So Nicolas Costa will start first tomorrow with Lucas Salles in second, and then in this race, Eduardo Taurissano will start first with Antonella Bassani in second. That was the opposite of what happened today.
a good expectation for tomorrow, also because it will be a sort of all or nothing race for some of the title protagonists, especially when we think about Marcel Miller, for example, in the main Carrera Cup championship, also Christian Moore that has to recuperate himself, so we can expect crazy things tomorrow, and that's one more reason to watch alongside us in Motorsport TV and Porsche Cup Brasil YouTube channel, Sergio.
Exactly. There we have again Antonella Bassani when she arrives to commemorate her team. Very, very happy indeed with her. She was happy too. Great win. It's her second win. And we talked about this when she had her first win, Carlos. I don't think she was the first winner, not only in Porsche Cup, but the first female winner in any of the major Brazilian race car categories. I think we talked about that, Carlos, and that shows how good she is, you know. I would like
Exactly.
exactly. So I mean,
And a very young female driver, which is also impressive. She comes from go-karts and it doesn't. Yeah, a couple of years ago, she was 2 times finalist of the FIA Girls on Track program. So the transition to race cars, heavier ones, in this particular case, the most produced race cars of the world, it has happened very fast and she has adapted straight away, which just shows that she's a skilled driver and has a bright future ahead of her. So let's see what she's able to do tomorrow. Starting second, but good grid position, and interesting situation when you compare to Marcelo Tomazzoni's grid position. But Tomazzoni is a wise fox, and he will be trying to manage as well.
yes, it shows that she has a bright future. And that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching here the first race of the fifth round of the Porsche Cup Brazil. Thank you very much and see you in the next race. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Valeu, galera.